200 years into the mythical past, the god of all magic Gaia battled against the final demon lord, and activated Hell's blaze to erase his existence, scorching the face of Earth for the rest of eternity. However, he thought his life was useless after being born with all the crests, except the one he desired. So he activated the forbidden spell of reincarnation, sacrificing his life to have a chance at obtaining it. When he was reborn, however, he named himself Matthias, and saw that he had acquired the crest of combat, but never realized that demonkind had changed the course of history, and were slowly causing the extinction of humanity. On his way to the Royal Academy with this ugly fat dickhead, Matthias sensed a calamity-grade beast. But as the giant tiger appeared before their eyes, Matthias eliminated it with a single strike. A few hours later, he had finally arrived at the capital, but when he heard a useless bitch screaming at a blacksmith, Matthias decided to investigate the swords he was selling, and realized that he was scamming her. So as the blacksmith said he won't enhance her sword, Matthias offered to be the one enchanting it. But the scammer thought his ugly ass was just showing off, since his crest of failure could never enchant weapons. Even so, the girl decided to give him the last magistone she had, deciding to put her faith in him. As Aegil began creating the sword, the girl introduced herself as Alma, and thought that Matthias was her savior, revealing that this sword was for her best friend. Speaking of the ugly bitch, Matthias turned around and saw the hottest girl in his life. So as Alma tried introducing him to her, Matthias said he was an expert at handling swords, and wished he could practice penetrating his sword deep into her armor at night. However, he wondered if she thought he was weird, since he had never talked to anyone in his previous life. But his forwardness had destroyed Laurie's floodgates, so she revealed that she wasn't engaged or romantically involved. Having no idea why she revealed she was single, the blacksmith brought the sword to the table, so Matthias began enhancing the sword with Sunder Steel. But all of them thought he was lying since he didn't even recite an incantation. However, as Laurie got up to try it, the table was sliced in half, and all of them wondered who Matthias's real identity was. The blacksmith revealed that no one has ever enhanced a sword within a few seconds, so he thought something was off, as only demons were able to do wordless incantations. At the Academy's entrance exams, Laurie ran up to Matthias, excited to see her daddy was also applying to their academy, and hoped that all of them would pass the physical exam. So as Laurie dodged the instructor's blow, she parried his sword, but as the instructor asked her to dodge his next attack, he wondered how the fuck his blade was chopped off, and decided to surrender the match. As Laurie told the Riz god that she passed the exam for him, it was Matthias's turn next, but he realized that his examiner wasn't one of the teachers. It was the ace of the kingdom's army, so as he drew his sword, Matthias realized he was going easy on him, so he decided to rush forward and enhance his physical abilities before parrying his attack. All of the instructors were shocked that he was able to fend off their captain. But the real test was still not over, as the magic exam was next. So as Laurie stepped up and casted the flame arrow incantation, Matthias realized that this era had lost the ability to use wordless incantation. On top of that, the weakest crest was considered the crest of glory, while the strongest crest was considered the crest of failure, and wondered how they ever decided this naming scheme. As the instructor told him not to try too hard, as his crest was as useless as his face.
Damn!
Matthias realized that the demon lord was still alive, and asked the instructor to step away. In that moment, he began casting a spell without saying a word, and as he fired the blow, he completely destroyed the entire field, and realized he overdid it. Even so, he was now a student of the academy, but as he saw the two disgusting chicks, he thought that Laurie was even hotter in her uniform, and Alma realized what was going on between them. At the entrance ceremony, the headmaster Edward congratulated the new lineage of students on being enrolled, and wished for them to bring glory to their academy. But before leaving, he called out for Matthias, telling him to come to his office. As he stood outside his door, he realized he was about to speed-run the world record of being expelled, as he had destroyed their entire academy before even being admitted. Inside of his office, however, Edward wondered how a child was able to defeat the captain of knights, and even cast wordless spells, but decided that it didn't matter like his pathetic existence, as he had something else in mind. No one in the academy was able to cast spells without using words, so he asked him to teach the other students his method. For the last century, the first academy had rewritten the magic books to reject wordless casting, so they needed to defeat them at the next inter-school competition, and prove that wordless casting was superior. So throughout the next weeks, he began teaching everyone how to cast spells using the power of their mind. But Matthias knew that there were demons among them, and wondered who they were. So he asked Lori to hold out her hand, and penetrated his warm magic deep into her body, realizing that they were now almost ready. The final secret to his training: Matthias will remain a hopeless overweight loser who could never get a girl in 2 lifespans. On the day of the competition, Matthias realized there was a person with 10 times his magical power, but Alma thought only a demon could possess that level of magic. So as he stepped onto the field, 3 guys began making fun of him for having the crest of failure, and the First Academy's principal realized they were about to get their 65th win. However, Matthias discovered their leader was the demon in disguise, who had infiltrated the academy by taking human form. So as soon as the match began, Matthias activated Hell's Blaze to incinerate them. But after realizing his comrades had fallen, Deviles cast a barrier, but he had fallen for Matthias's trap, as he had casted the spell without chanting. As Deviles continued casting fireballs, Matthias wanted to expose that demons were controlling their academy, so he rushed forward to slash into his body and activated Spell Shatter, exposing the demon among them. As Edward commanded everyone to evacuate, Deviles tried killing Matthias, but Matthias had calculated it would take 1.5 seconds for him to fly away, so he activated his spell at 0.8 seconds. And with 0.7 seconds remaining, he slashed the demon's wings, killing him in that instant. This was the state of the world after his life ended, with demonkind nearly driving humanity into extinction. So with his crest of failure, he swore to correct the direction of this era's history. After it was over, Lori hugged him, glad that he was safe, but when Alma wondered if she was also happy to feel his Excalibur, Lori realized it was becoming obvious. Later that day, when Matthias and Edward arrived at the palace, the king offered him any reward for defeating the demon, so Matthias asked if he could use all the dungeons in the kingdom. As the king gave him permission to enter, Matthias went on to reveal that the demons were planning to attack the kingdom from within their walls, and that they would likely wage war within 3 months. The only way to prevent their kingdom from being wiped out was to erect a permanent barrier, but he would need more than just Lori helping him to erect it. It would require all the students at the Second Academy to work together, and he wanted to begin teaching them wordless incantation in the meantime. So realizing that Matthias secretly possessed powers greater than the demon gods, the king was glad he was on their side, and decided to appoint him the leader of their battle against the demons. That same day, after Matthias was led into the palace's storehouse, the knight told him that the king has granted him permission to choose any weapon for the creation of the barrier. So as Matthias wandered around, he came across an ancient sword, but as he decided to use his appraisal, he realized that it was the same magic sword he created in his previous life. As he claimed it, he thought it would be useful for creating the barrier's core, but as he noticed his old pendant, and realized that it would increase the gains granted by experience points, he took it with him. The following day at school, he asked Alma and the useless bitch if they would be willing to follow him into the dungeon, as he needed more materials for the barrier. However, when Alma revealed that she's never touched a sword in her life, Matthias knew she was a lost cause, so he decided to show her how to use a bow by firing an arrow into a target. He told them that this was a simple magic chant, and revealed that Alma's crest of power was only ever used for archers. Realizing her chance to get stronger, Alma agreed to follow him into the dungeon. But as Lori realized she could learn enchantment, she told him that she was willing to learn how to infuse equipment with magical power. As she took his hand, she begged him to teach her how to make things bigger, but Alma tried reminding her this was a family-friendly video. That same day, when they arrived inside the dungeon, Matthias told them that the monsters on the first floor were weak losers like them, so he brought a monster for Alma to practice. As he sat it down, he told Alma to channel her magic into her arrow, so as she fired her shot, she destroyed the monster in that instant. However, Matthias told Alma to connect her mind with her bow, so as she tried following his words, the arrow was guided towards the monster. This was his thread-guided enchant, and he asked Alma to keep practicing until she could hit 2 monsters with a single shot. So realizing he wanted alone time with Lori, she decided to wander off, hoping they would get closer while she was away. With Lori and Matthias left, she began wondering if she can finally learn how to make things bigger.
What do you mean by that?
But Matthias revealed that they needed to get the items first. As they arrived at a wall, Matthias cast a brittle shatter spell, destroying the wall in an instant, revealing that these dungeons were made out of dragon ore. but they needed to refine it to extract it first. As he began melting it with pure magic, he crystallized it with a water spell, and as he grated the crystal with brittle shatter, he used a magnet spell to aggravate the elements they wanted. At the same time, Alma had learned to hit 3 monsters with a single arrow, but when she returned to Matthias and Lori, she spotted Lori slashing the walls with a sword and realized that she had learned to enchant weapons. So wanting to help them grow stronger faster, Matthias decided to take them to the 10th floor. But as they walked deeper into the dungeon, Alma noticed a group of monster snails, so Lori unleashed a fire spell on them. However, as the girls realized they were unscathed, Alma launched arrows that obliterated them against the wall. But as they kept growing stronger for hours, Matthias was glad that he took his pendant, as it was increasing the amount of experience points they were gaining. With Matthias thinking the area was now safe, he cast a barrier, telling the girls to rest until he returns. He told them that he was heading to the 25th floor, saying that it was the only place he could find the adamantite he needed for creating the barrier, but knew that he actually wanted to test how much his powers have grown. Before long, Matthias blasted a herd of monsters, but as he thought it was a waste of his magic, he leaped into the lower floors and eventually found a rock containing adamantite. As he sensed the presence of a powerful monster in the 25th floor, he leaped down into it and ended a lizard monster before him. At that moment, he noticed an army of monsters surrounding him, but annihilated them immediately, creating a path that would lead him to the floor boss. Just then, he cast a Compel Detect spell that would draw the monster to him, and as he narrowly dodged its attack, he spotted an arc serpent before him. As he dodged it, he noticed its lethal venom and realized that he needed to finish it off before he would die. So as he parried the serpent, slicing a single scale off its body, he thought it would recognize him as a threat. But as it returned to swallow him, Matthias activated a spell to blow it up from the inside. As he was ready to eliminate it, he activated a combination of spells and flew towards the monster, ripping it up with his blade. But as he discovered that it already healed itself, he realized that the monster was stronger than he thought, so he crushed a Magistone. And as he drew the magic power into his sword, he activated a special magic enchant, slaying it with a single strike. At the same time, 2 demons sensed the massive burst of his magic, but as one of them wondered what it could be, the other thought it was definitely not human. The following day, when Matthias and the girls arrived at the guild, he told Flat Ruby that they came to sell the monster's parts. But as he summoned the head of the snake, the lady screamed at the sight of it. However, as she examined it outside, Matthias revealed the Magistone, and as he admitted that it wasn't big enough to create a barrier over the kingdom, he said he intends to sell it, but the lady wondered if the guild could even afford it. As they began returning to the academy, Matthias sensed the presence of demons in the sky, and suggested they hurry away. Meanwhile, the 2 demons, Ashrel and Desrel, were searching for Matthias, having learned that he defeated one of them. But as Desrel suggested they test his strength, Ashrel told him to give Matthias a quick death. However, Matthias already discovered that one of the demons was weak, so as he told Alma and Lori that he would take on the stronger one, he asked them to lure the weaker one away, and that he would create a plan to eliminate both of them. So while the demons were making their own plans to attack him at the same time, Matthias materialized before them. But as Desrel blocked his sword, he told him that his power was no match for them. As they discovered that he eliminated Devilies, Ashrel launched a flame to annihilate him, but Matthias narrowly dodged it. Knowing he has little magic power, Matthias decided to maximize his strength, so as he stopped the second fire attack, he reflected it to Ashrel, nearly burning him. Even so, he wasn't done, and as he revealed that he's actually taken control of it, he burned Ashrel before he knew it. He had created control spheres that would help him control magic spells, but as he pretended to escape, they went after him immediately. However, this was all part of his plan to split them up, and as Alma fired arrows at Desrel, he realized that they were disrupting his magic power. Wanting to take them out, he launched towards them, but Matthias was glad that his plan was successful. Immediately, Ashrel prepared a large-scale spell to annihilate him, but Matthias cast a fire spell into his circle's weak point, breaking it instantly. But as he flashed towards him, Ashrel dodged his slash, and as he grew desperate to end him, he summoned his sword for physical combat. Without hesitating, he tried slashing Matthias, but as he evaded it, he began leaping away from all of his attacks, before eventually slashing him across the back. But as he took off towards the sky, Matthias knew that he was trying to escape, so he electrocuted him with the control sphere, before slashing him again. As Matthias told him that he was in control of his spells, he launched towards him to end his life, but Astral activated a casting circle and was ready to obliterate him instead. However, Matthias managed to dodge it, and as they continued clashing swords, Astral blocked his attack, forcing Matthias to retreat. With the control spheres now gone, Astral thought it was finally time to escape. But as he began saying that he would return again, an occlusion orb electrocuted him at that instant, sending him falling into the ground. Matthias had used his magic against him, but as he tried to cast a demon-exclusive spell that would sacrifice his life to summon a horde of monsters, Matthias silenced him permanently. At the same time, Alma and Lori were keeping their distance from Desrel, and as Alma launched another arrow that pierced his body, the girls leaped down from the roof. Everything was going according to his plan, but as he was ready to finish off the demon, he began leaping towards him. By the time he appeared before Desrel, he revealed that Astral had been sent off to Nirvana, and Desrel wondered how he managed to defeat his boss. Realizing he didn't stand a chance, Desrel decided to escape. But Alma launched an arrow that tore through his wing, slowing him down long enough for Matthias to slash the other one. As Desrel hit the ground, Matthias was happy to have successfully neutralized the two demons. But as all the people began to notice them, he launched away with the girls, and began leaping off magic circles. The following day at the palace, the useless king thanked them for their efforts at killing the demons, and asked what they wished for. With Matthias having no more use for his ugly ass face or his worthless palace's dungeon, he decided to ask for more dungeons. At that moment, Matthias sensed a demon spying on them, but as he electrocuted him on the spot, the king realized that he was Erhard, the former captain of the Mage's Order. When he wondered how the demon was listening in on them, Matthias revealed that it was through a hidden cloud called a fixed magic interface, which allowed for long-range surveillance. However, he had managed to discover their location, and told the king that they were in the north side of the capital. That night, as he led the girls to the mountains, they noticed a legendary dragon before them, so Matthias told them that he would tame it. In his previous life, he had defeated the darkness dragon named Iris, even forcing it to accept him as its master. However, as he stopped before the dragon, it told him to leave immediately, threatening to obliterate him on the spot. As the dragon realized that he was the reincarnation of Gaia, she began apologizing for attacking him and begged for her life. However, he revealed that he needed her help, as they needed a ride to the other side of the country. But the dragon showed him its damaged wings, saying that it had not flown in 5,000 years, ever since a magic reactor exploded in the human world. So to help her regain her wings, Matthias healed them with restoration magic, but warned Iris to never reveal his true identity. Just then, he told Alma and Lori that they would be getting a free ride, but Lori wanted a different kind of ride. As Iris decided to say hi to them, the girls wondered how a dragon could talk. Before long, Iris took off into the sky, so as Matthias directed it to head north, he realized they would reach the village in no time. Meanwhile in the village, a demon had sensed the presence of the dragon, but as Matthias flew down from the sky, he slayed him with a single strike. As he began sensing the aura of more demons, he realized that two demons were within the area, but thought that only one of them had stronger aura. A few minutes later, as they were ready to head inside, Matthias cast a telepathy spell to communicate with his party. But when they arrived inside, they realized that the place was empty, but Matthias knew the demon was using a concealment spell. So when Lori sensed aura coming from the corner, they realized the demon was standing before them. At that moment, Matthias cast a disruption spell to make him visible, so as Alma launched an arrow at him, it flew around his body before piercing his ugly face. The demon was Erhard, and as he wondered how they saw through his spell, he attacked Matthias, but as he blocked his claws, he told Alma to continue firing her arrows. So as he began dodging more attacks, Alma launched arrows into his body, but he thought they were useless. However, when he tried attacking again, Matthias dodged it easily, making him realize that the arrows were starting to make him slow. At the same time, more arrows pierced his back, and as his vision became blurry, Erhard decided to activate his demonic ace, transforming into a giant at that instant. In exchange for this power, he had sacrificed his life and blood, and as Matthias thought the girls stood no chance, he told them to run away. Immediately, Erhard began pursuing them, but as he tried to exterminate them, he realized that it was an illusion. Matthias had cast a disguise spell to make Erhard believe that they were trying to escape, But as he told the worthless monster that his face was too ugly to be spared, the monster began choking on powdered smoke. Matthias told him that the powdered smoke was actually concentrated magitoxin, which would weaken his entire body, so as Alma hit him with a final shot, it sent him into nirvana. With only a demon left, Matthias told Alma and Lori to wait on top of the dragon, saying that he would face the demon on his own. So after arriving outside, he crushed 3 magistones, releasing the magic within into the air, as it forced the last demon to materialize into existence. His name was Lordy, but as he began saying that Matthias was stronger than he thought, he said he was ready to isekai him into a different show. So as Lordy flashed towards him, Matthias blocked his attack, and continued blocking his other charges until he slid all the way back. As Lordy tried to summon a sword, he sliced Matthias' arm off, but as he began asking him to choose how he wanted to die, Matthias finished his analysis spell and cast a new spell that allowed him to reattach his arm. The sight made Lordy think he was a monster, but as he continued with his attacks, Matthias easily moved out of the way, as his analysis spell was helping him predict everything. With a flash, Matthias slashed his arm, and as Lordy noticed he was bleeding, he realized that the sword was imbued with the same toxin Matthias used to eliminate Erhard. Wanting to eliminate him first, Lordy began unleashing the magic circuit overclock that would sacrifice his blood to make him stronger, but Matthias easily nullified the spell, as Lordy decided to unleash his entire power, eventually creating a mist all around him. Matthias neutralized the spell immediately. As he revealed that he could anticipate all of his attacks, Lordy's body began drawing in excessive magic. So as Matthias activated a magistone, Lordy continued absorbing all the magic, eventually erupting into a massive explosion. After the dust settled, Matthias noticed a huge dragon vein in his spot.
Yeah, boy.
After Alma told them to get a bedroom already, they began returning to the capital. But along the way, Iris wondered how she could keep serving him, so he decided to cast a spell to change her into her human form and protect them at the academy. Later that day, after Matthias reported their success to Edward, he asked him to admit Iris as a transfer student, but as Edward thought she was as ugly as a blobfish, he said she must take the transfer exams before she could be accepted. As they began to leave, Matthias gave Iris a crest pattern, wanting to make her appear regular to everyone, but soon began wondering if she would actually pass the exams. A few days later, as Iris took the first exam, they realized that her useless brain didn't even know what ink was, and Edward wondered if she was taken from an African jungle. For the second exam, Iris faced off against the same loser Matthias defeated, but as she accidentally threw her sword away, Guile rushed to attack her. However, she caught his sword with her bare hand, and as Guile began wondering how she was so strong, Iris pushed him away for her own attack. Realizing Guile was about to get maimed, Matthias cast a protective shield before him, but Iris smacked him into a roof, making Edward wonder why he kept witnessing this overpowered bullshit. When it was time for the final exam, Edward told Iris to hit the target with a flame spell, but as she launched a flame disc that swerved back to them, Matthias managed to cast a barrier that shielded the blast, destroying the ground around them. Wanting to make a second attempt, Iris launched another flame disc that repelled off the wall, eventually exploding in the sky. But Edward was certain that she was a calamity-grade monster. For her final attempt, Iris decided to unleash a flame through the ground, creating a huge explosion that completely destroyed the entire place. As the smoke cleared, she began saying that she successfully destroyed the targets, but Edward thought she was a walking menace, and as he realized that she was better off put on close observation, he decided to announce that she passed. A few days later, when they arrived at a mine, Edward revealed that the students couldn't find enough ores for making the barrier, as most of it was at the first academy. However, when the first academy's headmaster arrived the next day, the hopeless, disgusting man named Eddard began calling Edward a useless loser and said he was inferior to him because his school was garbage and his name didn't have 2 Ds.
What?
Wanting to regain his academy's reputation, Edward tried betting it all on another inter-school competition. But Eddard thought Matthias was a demon, so he demanded for a rematch without him. As Matthias thought they would still win, he decided to accept, but Eddard was certain that his first academy would kick their school's ass. On the day of the contest, Eddard prepared 1,000 of his best students in the arena, and as he screamed at them to obliterate the second academy, he realized that only 5 students were chosen as their representatives. With the loser thinking his academy would annihilate them, he began saying that they were the winner already. But as the contest began, the second academy blasted them with flames before they could even complete a spell. By the time the dust settled, only the second academy were left standing. But as the shitface thought they cheated, he began saying that he would not accept this loss. However, Edward knew he was a sore-ass loser and demanded to know why his first academy were still reciting incanted spells, even though the king had commanded them to switch to wordless chants. With the useless man determined to remain a nuisance, he began saying that it was his duty to protect the kingdom's educational principles, even against the king. But as the king appeared at that moment, he commanded his royal guards to arrest him for being a traitor. Later that day, as Matthias and the girls headed deep into a dungeon, he thought they would easily put up the barrier, since they now had the first academy on their side. As killer dogs began rushing towards them, Alma eliminated them with arrows, while Lori sliced them with her sword. The sight impressed Matthias, but as Iris's slash parted the ground, he thought she was hopeless for having no control over her own powers. Just then, she swung her sword, nearly isekaiing him for the second time. But when it was all over, they descended to the lowest floor. Matthias thought this floor would be perfect for summoning the monster they needed, and told Lori to form a casting circle around the Magistone. Immediately, she began releasing her magic into it, but as Matthias held her hand for support, Lori climaxed as her floodgates were destroyed once again. When she was done, Matthias told Iris to slowly infuse the stone with her magic, but as she infused too much magic into it, the energy erupted before them. Afraid a greater monster would emerge, Matthias tried telling her to infuse lesser magic. But as her useless brain thought the magic was not enough, she decided to increase it, allowing darkness to erupt from inside. And Matthias thought the monster would be stronger than what the floor can handle. Afraid they would be buried under the rubble, he screamed at the girls to run away, but as a large dragon appeared before their eyes, he thought it was the perfect monster he needed. So with Matthias wanting to rile up the beast, he told Iris to call it names, but as she called it a useless winged lizard, it grew angry and threatened to annihilate her out of existence. Immediately, it nearly squashed her into the ground, and as it began chasing her around the dungeon, Alma fired arrows into its body. However, it was unscathed from her attack. But as Matthias told her to continue firing anyway, he began casting magical sigils around the dragon. Just then, Alma fired a bunch of arrows that made the dragon notice their presence, but as they thought it was over for them, Iris dazed it with a hefty punch. Immediately, she attacked again, landing another hefty strike. But as she thought she could stop its attack, the dragon squashed her into the ground. Just then, she noticed that the dragon had not attacked with its dragon breath, and thought its breath must stink. But Matthias revealed that he was blocking it with his magic. As the casting circles were finally complete, he told the girls to retreat, but as Iris decided to rile up the dragon once more, it prepared to unleash its dragon breath. However, it was all going according to Matthias's plan, and as he activated the spells, he inverted the dragon breath, amplifying it with enough magic that would destroy the dragon. At that moment, Iris fell into a hole, and as he thought she would get caught in the blast, he cast a shield to protect her as the blast exploded before him. When the smoke cleared, they realized that the dragon was completely obliterated. But as Iris arrived with the Magistone, Matthias thought she finally deserved to become a real member of his party and officially welcomed her. A few days later, after Matthias destroyed the Academy's training ground, he revealed that he intends to train Iris in her human body, as he thought it was the only way she wouldn't continue to be a liability. So as the training started, she began running around with a shell, but as she dodged Alma's arrow, the shell fell off, allowing the arrow to pierce it. Thinking the useless training was working, Matthias began telling her to dodge with the least movement possible. But as she tried again, she tripped on a stone, and thought human bodies were shit. With Matthias having seen enough of her failures, he asked Lori to make him a new sword, but the only thing she wanted was Matthias's sword. As Matthias explained the kind of sword he wanted, he said it would be enchanted with a dragon claw, and would be layered with mithril on each side. By the time she was done, she thought the sword was perfect, but Matthias suggested she make another for herself. At the same time, Iris thought she was finally getting a hang of the training, but when Alma hit her shell again, she warned her to never let down her guard. Just then, Matthias summoned them for a weapon test, so as Lori decided to try her new sword, she slashed a rock with double strikes, obliterating the entire thing. When it was Alma's turn, she launched an arrow that ripped through another rock, crushing it into stones. With Iris being the last, she charged at the final rock with her spear, and as she pierced it, a huge wave shattered every bit of it, leaving Alma and Lori in shock. When their training was over, Matthias thought the academy was becoming too useless for him, and realized that he must abandon the entire kingdom once they successfully repelled the demons. A few days later, as Edward tried preparing the students for the battle, he told them that their duty was to protect the capital until Matthias had finished creating the barrier. Meanwhile, Matthias and the other students were inside a dungeon, and as Lori picked up unusual activity around the forest, Matthias thought it was a demon. He told them that the demons were using a transportation spell called Magi Road, and asked the girls to eliminate them before they infiltrated the capital. Before long, they began running through the forest, but when they spotted the Magi Road, the useless third wheel was already exhausted from the run. As they thought the demons would appear soon, Lori began enchanting Alma's arrows, and Alma thought she could feel the powers inside them. Just then, the Magi Road began to expand, and as they thought a demon was about to emerge, Alma launched an arrow right into his heart, killing him instantly. Before long, another demon emerged, but as Alma's arrow pierced his arm, Lori sliced him before he could attack them. The easy elimination made them excited, and as the Magi Road closed up, they thought the capital was now safe. But at that moment, they sensed a surge of magic from the Second Academy, and as they thought an attack was imminent, they decided to hurry back, ignoring the worthless girl. After arriving at the dungeon, Matthias told them that the magic surge was an advanced version of Magi Road, and he thought the demons would certainly appear at the Second Academy. With the barrier far from being completed, he asked them to buy him time until he was done, so as they thought they were strong enough to face the demons, they hurried off to the school. Just then, a girl told them that another magic surge had been detected, and as they noticed a tear in the magic veil, a demon emerged at that moment. His name was Belial, and as he began saying that they were as useless as ants, he thought they couldn't possibly put up a fight. Immediately, he unleashed flames to annihilate them, but when the smoke cleared, he realized that they were protected by a barrier. As the sight made Belial angry, Edward thought he would attack again, and commanded his students to attack first, but their flames extinguished easily. Realizing they were too far away, Alma decided to launch an arrow, but Belial caught it with his hand before snapping it in half. As Belial thought their attacks were weak, Alma realized that he was stronger than the other demons. But when she wondered if Lori had completed the enchantment, she discovered that Lori had nearly drained all her magic. At the same time, Belial was summoning magic circles for his next attack, and as the students managed to cast another shield, he unleashed an inferno on it. The power from this attack began to weaken the students' magic, and as Edward began thinking that the shield would eventually break, Lori managed to complete her enchantment. Immediately, Alma launched the arrow towards Belial, but as he narrowly dodged it, it returned to pierce him from behind. At the same time, all the students blasted him with their flame, sending him falling hard on the ground. But a mighty inferno shot into the sky before them. By the time the flame vanished, more demons had appeared, and as Lori began thinking they were hopeless, Alma drew an arrow, saying that they must hold them off until Matthias arrived. This was the duty he bestowed on them, and as she prepared to launch an arrow, Lori supported her with an enchantment spell, saying they couldn't afford to disappoint their man. But at that moment, Matthias eliminated one of the demons, and as the girls were excited to see him, he vowed to eliminate every single one of them. Immediately, he slayed another, but as 5 others got isekai'd, the leader decided to activate his demonic ace, transforming into a giant instantly. However, Matthias was unfazed, and as he attacked them, he slayed every last one of them, until none of the demons were left alive. By the time it was all over, Matthias thought the sword made the battle easier, but Alma and Lori rushed to feel the only sword they cared about. As he thanked Alma and Lori for fighting the demons, he told them that he had successfully prepared the barrier and was ready to activate it. Before long, they returned to the dungeon, and as he activated the dragon vein with a magistone, the magic shot into the sky, casting a veil over the entire capital. The sight of the barrier made the girls think it was all over, but Matthias revealed that a horde of monsters were heading towards the kingdom, having been summoned by the first dragon vein they found in the village. Matthias explained that the magic power from this dragon vein and from the defeated demons were drawing the monsters towards the capital, and he revealed that they would arrive in a large horde. At dawn, Edward and the students decided to protect the barrier, wanting to keep the beasts from entering the capital. So as they spotted them in the distance, they began launching fire at them, and Matthias was impressed that the students were no longer a bunch of losers. However, when stone monsters appeared before them, Edward directed the students to withdraw, so as Matthias appeared at the front line. The girls materialized for support. When Iris tried charging forward, Matthias hurled her towards one of the monsters, and as she bumped into his head, it fell hard on the ground, breaking into pieces. At the same time, Alma launched an arrow that destroyed 2 monsters, but as Matthias was impressed that his harem were fit for combat, he noticed a mighty flame absorbing all the surviving beasts. As he told the girls that it was a void eater, he explained that it devours other monsters to grow into a single beast, and said they must allow it to consume all the monsters to complete its growth. Wanting to speed up this growth, he told Lori to carve a magic pattern into a magistone, revealing that the casting circle would drive its evolution in the way that he wanted. So as she hurled the magistone into the flame, Matthias fed it with more stones, making it burn stronger, until it transformed into a huge beast. However, its massive size made Alma and Lori afraid, but as Matthias told them to attack with arrows, he directed Iris to attack its feet. As he began running towards the monster, he narrowly avoided getting crushed, but as Iris slashed its foot, he activated a flying magic and stabbed it right in the eye. Deciding to withdraw, he broke a magistone on his sword, activating a magic enchantment, so as he returned again, he sliced its ankles with a clean strike. However, the beast began to regenerate, so as Matthias decided to activate another enchantment, he slashed it across the face. Without hesitating, he broke another magistone on his sword and summoned a dozen magic circles, casting double slashes that began piercing the beast while ricocheting. Ready to finish it off, Matthias descended with his sword, slicing its head with a clean strike that dispelled all its magic. As he told the girls that it was definitely dead for good, Alma thought their man was a hero, and everyone in the capital was excited that their city was safe. A few days later, Matthias told Edward that he was leaving the capital, and explained that he wanted to do a survey of dragon veins, as he thought the presence of another would draw a new horde of monsters. Realizing it was a mere excuse for wanting to quit the academy, Edward offered to give him a special scholarship, saying that he would be allowed to return whenever he wanted. But when Edward noticed that the girls were starting to grow sad, he offered them the same scholarship. Immediately, Lori accepted, saying that she wanted Matthias to keep training her with his sword. But Alma said she wanted to learn how to shoot her arrows like how he shot shots on her face. So the following day, as they were ready to leave, Matthias thanked Edward for allowing him to keep his harem. But as Edward said they could return to the academy whenever they wanted, they began leaving the capital. While on the road, Matthias revealed that they were heading for another city's dungeon, and as they arrived at the mountains, they spotted the dungeon city of Melkia. By the time they got there, however, they realized that it was a ghost town, and that the only ones who remained were weak, useless morons. Just then, the magic lamppost began to blink, and as a man warned them that it would explode, it blew up at that instant. However, the group managed to escape, and as Lori began wondering why the city was filled with explosive lampposts, the man revealed that it was on the order of their new lord. After all, he had sent nearly half of their city into the dungeon. But when Matthias heard those words, he realized that the Lord was intentionally killing off his own people. So deciding to investigate the dungeons, he realized that they needed to register as adventurers, as that was the only way to obtain the guild's dungeon permit. A few minutes later, when they arrived at the guild, Matthias saw Roxanne. Wrong show. Well, at least I was half right.
Stop it. Get some help.
When he asked Ruby about exploring the dungeon, she thought he was too weak, and revealed that the permit was only issued by the lord of the city. The only way of obtaining it was by completing his special request. But as a lady appeared in the entrance, she screamed that 100 wounded adventurers had arrived from the dungeon. Wanting to save them, Matthias volunteered to help with healing magic, but when they arrived at the town hall, they realized that all the men were on the brink of losing their lives. Realizing that the Lord was slowly killing off his entire town, he cast a passive detect spell to check their health status. As he set numbers over their beds, he explained that these numbers represent the severity of their injuries, and asked the girls to heal the wounded men based on the highest number. However, as he tried healing one of the men, a face appeared at that moment, calling them useless children who didn't belong here. But as Matthias told him that they had no other choice, he began healing the man's injury, and as he eventually closed up the wound, they began wondering if he was human. However, he commanded them to begin healing the men before they all died, so they began obeying his words. and slowly restored all of the soldiers. By the time they were done, Matthias was exhausted from consuming all his magic, but everyone was shocked that they successfully healed all of them. As the useless man thanked him for his help, Matthias decided to ask what happened to the previous lord of their city, so he revealed that he had mysteriously passed away in his sleep, and that the new lord had appeared out of nowhere. Realizing there was something off about his story, he knew that the demons must have infiltrated this city, and that their new lord was nothing but a puppet being controlled by them. The following day, when Matthias and his harem arrived at the dungeon gate, he realized that the gate was too weak to hold a monster from the inside, and thought something was definitely wrong with this city. Just then, Iris pushed the gate open, allowing them to enter into the dungeon. But when they returned a few hours later to sell monster parts, the guild mistress realized that they had eliminated all the vicious beasts that attacked the adventurers the previous day. Realizing their broke guild couldn't possibly afford to pay them, the girl began saying that the monster parts must first be confirmed by the lord of their city. However, as she began scribbling a letter to him, Matthias used an invisibility spell to spy on her, and realized that she was describing his harem as a pack of beasts, while calling him a mere healer. That night, when the letter reached the city lord named Dokil, he thought that Matthias and his party needed to be eliminated. At the same time, Matthias and the girls were having dinner, and as he told them that he was impressed with their combat skills while inside the dungeon, he thought they were getting even better than before. However, as they began heading to their inn, Matthias noticed two losers trailing them, but as he thought they were sent by the lord of the city, he decided to take the girls on a different route. As the girls followed him, he telepathically communicated with them, revealing that they were being tailed, and told the girls to use a concealment spell. At that moment, the worthless men began wondering where they were. But when Matthias and his harem materialized before them, he wondered what the men were doing. So one of them said they were definitely not looking for them and were going to kill them or anything like that. As they bound Matthias up in chains, he begged for someone to save him, but the girls realized all of those men were about to get clapped.
Pause.
As the moron began saying that he knew exactly who they were, he revealed that Matthias was the only weak loser amongst them. Just then, Iris began advancing towards them, but one of the men thought she had no chance at defeating him. As Iris continued advancing, she beat every single one of them, before knocking off the first loser. With all the men unconscious, Matthias decided to cast a tracking spell on them, saying that it would lead them to the home of the city's lord. A few days later, as they arrived in an underground tunnel, a knight named Ike appeared before them, saying that he had been sent by the king. As he revealed a scroll, he explained that the king had granted them permission to arrest the lord of this city. But when Matthias revealed that his tracking spell would lead them to the lord's whereabouts, Ike wondered how he would get through his guards. So Matthias told him that he had a secret plan. A few hours later, when they arrived at his estate, they noticed that the entire place was deserted. But as Matthias activated passive detect, he began sensing the presence of 100 men inside. Excited about kicking some ass, he suggested they walk right through the front gate, but as they kicked the door in, the men thought they had walked right into their trap. Immediately, they launched their attacks at the same time, but as Lori cast a barrier spell to protect them, the men wondered how she managed to deflect it. Deciding to take charge of the attack, Matthias unleashed lightning on the men, electrocuting their worthless bodies. But as they began wondering where the Lord was, Matthias told them that he could feel his presence in the basement. Before long, he found the hidden trigger, and as he flipped it, a secret passage opened up before them. Meanwhile, in the basement, Dokil was wondering why the mansion had grown silent. But as he thought his men must have crushed the intruders, Matthias appeared before him, revealing who he was. With Dokil having prepared a trap, he commanded his men to attack him, but as a new set of losers burst outside, Matthias fried them with his flames. As the sight left Dokil in shock, he began wondering how Matthias managed to use magic, but Alma thought he was a moron for believing the guild mistress's letter. As Ike revealed that they came to arrest him, Matthias snapped his fingers to put him to sleep. But when Ike tried to carry him away, the ground began to rumble, and Matthias told them that it was an earthquake. A demon had been tampering with the dragon vein inside the dungeon, and as the magic from the stone was drawing 1,000 beasts towards the city, Matthias revealed that a horde of monsters would soon arrive. Realizing their best hope was to eliminate the demon, Matthias revealed that they had only 2 hours to do so, and suggested they head to the dungeon immediately. Inside the dungeon, Matthias realized that the demon had moved to a lower floor already, but as he directed Iris to begin digging through a wall, she started hammering it, until the wall crumbled, revealing the dragon vein. At the same time, Matthias caught the scent of a demon, and as he thought the demon must have found the stone first, he told the girls that he would eliminate him before he could escape. In the meantime, he wanted Lori to reverse the effect of the dragon vein, and as he rigged up the stone with a casting circle, he said it would aid their telepathy. Before long, he annihilated a dozen monsters and was drawing closer to the demon. But at the same time, the demon named Klein was waiting for his arrival, so as Matthias materialized in an instant, he noticed a fluctuation in his magic power and wondered if he was using a communication spell. Activating Magic Align, Matthias began listening to the demon voice that was giving him commands, and as he realized that he knew everything about the dragon vein, he thought he would definitely be their leader. Immediately, he activated enhancement spells on his sword, but as he flew to end Klein, he slammed his barrier instead, and watched it explode in his face. Realizing it was an explosive barrier that annihilates the attacker, Matthias thought he needed to be more careful with his attacks, but the demon voice commanded Klein to end him. Without hesitating, Klein summoned his sharp claws, but Matthias directed Lori to prepare 2 spells for his defense. Immediately, he began rushing towards Klein, but as Klein already figured that he was better at close-range combat, he tried blasting him to maintain their distance. However, Matthias appeared behind him, but as he blasted him again, Matthias retreated unscathed. Not willing to give him any advantage, Klein decided to unleash another blast towards him, but Matthias cast a barrier to block it. By the time the smoke cleared, Klein realized that he was still unfazed, so as the Demon King told him to advance to their next plan, Klein hoped to catch Matthias in a trap. However, Matthias thought it was useless, and as he began charging again, he dodged all the blasts as Lori destroyed the trap with a spell. At the sight of this, Klein began thinking he was screwed, but when the Demon King tried telling him to advance to Plan B, their telepathy cut off. With only his barrier left, Klein thought he could still put up a fight, but as Matthias began launching a barrage of energy blasts, he eventually stabbed through it with his sword. He told Klein that he had already figured out his barrier's weakness, as he had discovered that it activated half a second from a previous attack, allowing him to strike at the precise time before it activated again. At that moment, the barrier broke, but as Klein withdrew immediately, the Demon King told him to use the Disfortune spell. With Klein having no other options, he decided to activate his demonic ace, and as he turned into a giant, he began blasting Matthias again. Even so, Matthias dodged all the attacks easily, but as he blasted him with attacks of his own, he began striking him with his sword. Immediately, he leaped away from his punch, and as he drew an enchantment spell into his sword, he cast a slash that severed Klein's arm. With Klein growing desperate, he tried attacking Matthias, but he sliced his head off with another slash. At that moment, all the beasts outside the city began to disintegrate, but as Matthias tried to track the Demon King, the demon voice told him that he couldn't possibly find him. He had managed to tap into Matthias's communication spell, but as Matthias began sensing his magic from a little town, he thought it was a decoy and revealed that he would love to find him. With the demon realizing he wouldn't stand a chance, he passed up the offer of a fight, but Matthias thought they would eventually meet each other. That night, while the group were sitting around a fire, Matthias told them that he intended to find the Demon King, because the transmission spell managed to reveal a faint trace of his magic. He had saved it in his Magistone, and revealed that he would pinpoint the Demon King's whereabouts through a special device that was created 5,000 years ago. When Alma wondered where the device was, he revealed that it was in the Radinia Alliance territory, realizing that he can't tell them that he was the one who invented the device. So the following day, they returned to the capital. But as they arrived, they realized that the academy was under construction. Just then, Edward appeared, and after revealing that they intend to build thicker walls that would withstand demon attacks, he invited them to his office. Inside the office, Matthias told him that they intend to track the Demon King across the Radinia Alliance border, but as Edward thought it was uncharted territory, he offered to write a recommendation to the Guild of the city for their cooperation. By the end of that day, Edward had acquired the king's permission, and as he gave Matthias the border crossing permit, the girls were excited for their next adventure. After crossing the capital's border, they thought they would reach the Radinia Alliance by the end of the day. But as Matthias noticed the restricted region on the map, Lori wondered how they would enter. Having discovered a solution, Matthias revealed that they could only gain access by increasing their adventurer rank, and said they needed to attain a rank from the Radinia Adventurers Guild. Later that day, when they arrived at the city of Radinia, Alma thought it was better than the capital, but Matthias was only concerned about finding the guild. When they arrived there, a man named Keto welcomed them and said that he's been expecting to see them, having already received a letter from Edward. When Matthias tried explaining that they needed to attain a rank, Keto told him that the only condition to pass was to beat a prearranged proctor in a mock battle. At that moment, an ugly dude named Giluas appeared at the entrance, and as he revealed that he was replacing the original proctor who had fallen sick, Keto told Matthias that Giluas was an S-rank adventurer and said he had never lost a mock battle. When Giluas began saying that every other opponent was too weak and useless, Matthias grew excited for the challenge and accepted the duel. After arriving outside for the mock battle, Giluas decided to promote the dumbass chicks to A rank, but told Matthias that he had been waiting to fight with him. He already learned that Matthias was a renowned demon slayer and wanted to have a real battle with him to evaluate his own abilities. As the fight was about to begin, Giluas revealed that he doesn't use magic in a fight, but as he drew his sword, Matthias sensed that he activated a physical enhancement spell. With Giluas ready for the fight, he darted towards Matthias, but as he activated his own physical enhancement, he leaped away from his attack. However, from their clash, he was certain that Giluas was using magic, even though the moron didn't realize it. But as Giluas charged again, clashing blades with him, Matthias decided to keep his distance. Before long, they began striking swords, and Matthias realized that Giluas was combining other enhancement spells with his attacks, but thought it was incredible since he was doing so unconsciously. As they continued matching each other's agility, Giluas wondered if Matthias was actually holding back on his attacks, and Matthias revealed that he was. Wanting to show off a new skill, Matthias leaped off a casting circle, but Giluas managed to block his attack before forcing him to retreat. As he thought he could push Matthias to his limits, he leaped 100 meters high, but as he began jumping off casting circles, Matthias realized he was copying his technique. Immediately, he attacked again, forcing smoke to erupt, but as he retreated, he thought Matthias was incapacitated. However, Matthias blew off the smoke, and as he told Giluas that his casting strength was insufficient, he darted towards him. But as they matched each other's strength, Matthias activated physical enhancement, sending Giluas flying into the wall. With Giluas having grown exhausted, he decided to surrender, and the girls were excited that their man passed the test. Wanting to get stronger, Giluas decided to ask Matthias for useful tips, but he gave him a 5,000-year-old book, saying it would teach him whatever he needed to know. However, Giluas was a school dropout who didn't know shit about reading, and as his brain began to overheat, he realized he would never understand anything. That same day, when they were about to leave, Giluas tried persuading Matthias to move up to S rank. But as he told him that he didn't need a title as useless as his disgusting face, he revealed that he only acquired A rank so that he could enter the restricted part of the Fokir region. Hearing these words, Giluas told him that adventurers had gone missing around those parts and warned them to watch their backs. A few hours later, when they arrived at the checkpoint, Matthias told the security that they came for adventurer work, so as he gave them passes, he told them to stay on the main road. However, after they made it across, Matthias noticed a magical code inscribed on their passes, and revealed that the coding technology was used by demons. This could only mean that demons were in control of this territory, but as they noticed a group of bandits spying on them from the hills, Matthias suggested they put their asses to sleep. He thought this would allow them to infiltrate the city without drawing any attention, so as he told Alma and Lori to go around the hills, he directed them to activate the magic item once they were close enough to the men. Immediately, he cast a spell that created illusions of them, and as he said they would appear real from a distance, he thought they would keep the men distracted. Just then, he began screaming that they were under attack, and as the bandits knew they had noticed their presence, they decided to launch arrows towards them. However, they realized that the arrows were not piercing their bodies, but as Iris grew angry and tried charging at them, Matthias tripped balls. I wonder why he would do that too. Meanwhile, Alma and Lori had managed to sneak up on the bandits, and as Lori decided to activate the magic item, she released the fumes towards them, forcing the men to pass out at the same time. However, when Matthias and Iris arrived, they discovered the useless bitches had also put themselves to sleep. So Iris was about to have a field day with their asses, but when Matthias woke them up, she pretended she had no idea what happened to their faces. After arriving at Fokia, they realized that the town was teeming with demons, and Lori was able to sense their magic even in the air, as Matthias told them that they were actually demi-demons, a rare offshoot of the demon race. He said they couldn't use special spells, but had their senses always linked to one another. The only way they could defeat them was to sneak into the town unnoticed, and he said he had already discovered a way. Before long, he revealed the secret entrance inside a mountain, and as he told the girls that this was the demon's hidden passage, he said it would lead them to the center of the town. So as they made their way into the sewer, Matthias detected the presence of a demon. But as he went through the wall with an application spell, he cast a paralysis spell that left the demon brain dead. But after making it to the center of the town, they discovered that all the humans had basically been turned into zombies. But as Matthias decided to examine one of the men, he realized they had been brainwashed with a thought paralysis spell, and Lori thought the demons must be responsible for it. Before long, they joined a queue of humans, and noticed that the demons were renewing the thought paralysis spell. But when Matthias realized they were overworking the humans inside the factory, he suggested they see what was inside. Inside the factory, Matthias realized that the humans were making explosives, enough to destroy the entire capital with how many they were creating, and knew that the demons had enslaved this whole city. So that night, he decided that they needed to eliminate the demons before it was too late, and noticed there were 32 of them gathered at the center of the town. Thinking it would be too dangerous to attack the spot, Lori began suggesting they wait until they were dispersed, but Matthias told them that the demons had shared consciousness and could easily warn each other. When Alma tried suggesting that they attack them at the same time, Matthias told her that they wouldn't stand a chance. But as he thought they could use their teamwork against them, he decided to explain his plan. Before long, the demons sensed a powerful magical energy rising towards the sky. But as they wondered what it was, their master Dracula commanded them to eliminate the source of the energy. Just then, demons began appearing at the area, but revealed that they couldn't find any enemies. However, when two demons spotted Iris, Matthias slashed the first one from behind, before eliminating the second. His scream made the others realize they were being attacked, but as another blew up over a roof, a second bomb isekai'd the fourth. While they were wondering what was happening, Matthias appeared behind a clueless demon, and Dracula continued hearing the screams of his slain companions. A few hours ago, when Matthias was revealing his plan, he had decided to release all of Iris's magical energy, which caused it to unleash towards the sky, drawing the demon's attention at the same time. Matthias had expected that it would lure them in, and as he told Alma and Lori to distract them, Lori explained to Iris that her duty was to draw the demons away from the center of the town. Once this was done, he had begun annihilating them as they appeared, and when a demon tried to end Iris, his sword broke to pieces, allowing her to throw him into a wall. Before the other could escape, Matthias pulled him into the ground, and was glad that their plans were running smoothly. As Lori noticed a new demon approaching, she activated a bomb on the Magistone, so as Alma hurled it at his face, Matthias ended him from behind. This had been the pattern of their attacks, but as the demons activated a detection spell to find the explosives, Matthias directed Alma and Lori to conceal their magic. This way, their presence would never be noticed, but as a new demon began patrolling the area, another bomb blew him up. While Dracula was wondering how bomb traps could be set across the town, he descended from the tower, but Matthias had already eliminated another demon. By the time Dracula arrived at the body, he realized that he wasn't killed by a bomb, so as he told his men that he was actually slain with a sword, he suggested a new plan. At that moment, Matthias noticed that their movements had changed, and as he realized they had gathered at one spot, he knew he must fight them at the same time. All the while, Dracula was telling his men that they were stronger together, but as he suggested they fight back with their explosive magic crystals, he revealed that he was willing to blow up half of the town. But at that moment, another demon was annihilated, and as Giluas appeared before him, Dracula thought he was responsible for all the attacks. At the same time, Matthias sensed his magic, but as Dracula summoned his sword and attacked Giluas, he eventually pushed him off the roof. Thinking he was weak, Dracula commanded his men to surround him, but as Matthias arrived and realized he fell for another trap, he eliminated two demons instantly. Immediately, the rest of them rushed at him, but Iris's spear isekai'd all three of them. So as Giluas and Dracula clashed swords, Giluas slashed across his body, but as he realized he was unscathed, Dracula slashed his arm. Thinking Giluas stood no chance against him, he began saying that he would crush him like an ant. But as Giluas was determined to prove himself, he warned Matthias to stay out of the fight. At that moment, Dracula summoned his fiery aura, but as they began clashing again, Matthias noticed that Julius had improved on his physical enhancement. Even so, Dracula slashed his face, and began telling him that his blade was completely useless. But as Julius decided to activate Recoil Sunder Steel, he slashed through his body, finally making him bleed. With Dracula desperate to end him, he slashed him with a hefty strike that caused him to fall on his knees. But Julius would not surrender, and screamed at Matthias to stay away, activating another Recoil Sunder Steel. Julius slashed him with double strikes, but as Dracula was ready to end him with his ultimate attack, he prepared his demonic slash. At the same time, Julius activated another Recoil Sunder Steel, but as they flashed past each other, Dracula's soul entered Nirvana. This victory made Julius excited, but as he fell in exhaustion, Matthias told him that he was proud of him. Just then, Dracula resurrected, but as Matthias managed to block his attack, they wondered how he was still alive. At that moment, the Demon King began speaking through his body, saying that he would soon destroy his seal and revive himself, but eventually disintegrated. However, Matthias realized that the Demon King had been responsible for demons overtaking their cities. But as he decided to heal Julius's injury, the girls realized that the thought paralysis spell had lifted from the people of the town. Deciding to take charge, Julius introduced himself as an S-rank adventurer and said he would be in temporary control of their town. But Matthias realized this was about to be a shit show. As he called for a factory foreman, he decided to appoint him provisional lord of the town, and they realized this town was better under the demons. Later that day, as they were ready to leave the town, Julius decided to give them a guild permit that would allow them to enter the restricted region before heading back to his city. As Matthias and his harem continued their journey, climbing over mountains and wading through thick bushes, they eventually entered the restricted zone. When Matthias showed them the ancient ruin, he revealed that the tracking device was buried here. But as they arrived at a pyramid, he decided to infuse it with his magical power, making it rise out of the ground. However, as the girls noticed that the entrance had no steps to walk on, they began wondering how they would reach the bottom. But Matthias activated his physical enhancement spell and leaped into the darkness. Just then, he yelled for them to do the same, so as the girls activated enhancement spells, they jumped inside and managed to land on their feet. As they saw the ancient device, Matthias decided to activate it with his magic, but as he analyzed a piece from the factory, the entire place began to tremble. Matthias told the girls that this device could pick up even the slightest magic, and as a bunch of screens appeared around the device, he realized it was still working. However, from the analysis, he only noticed the presence of demon magic on the piece, and thought it was definitely the Demon King. As he told the girls that the Demon King could be working on a plan to destroy all of humanity, he said that their best hope was to discover his whereabouts first. Using the Magistone where he saved the Demon King's magic, he decided to activate the device for a wide-range spell. But as lightning unleashed from it, rising all the way towards the sky, the analysis began to appear. As they started turning red in a sign for warning, Matthias realized that the Demon King was on the verge of lifting his seal. When Alma wondered if he could put the seal back, Matthias told them that the Demon King named Zardias was a very strong enemy, and that in their current state, they had no hopes of beating him. Even if they trained with immortality spells for hundreds of years, they would only manage to get a victory at the cost of human extinction. However, as Iris began wondering if there was a powerful ancient weapon that could be a threat to Zardias' existence, Matthias remembered a forbidden method and decided to track ancient weapons with an old sword he made. He had made several magical weapons in his previous life, which were eventually scattered all over the world. But as he hoped to find the greatest sword he ever made, the device revealed its location at that moment. As Matthias realized it was inside the king's castle at the capital, he thought he could slay the Demon King with this sword, but Zardias broke his seal at the same time. Before long, Matthias and the girls began returning to the capital, but as he gave them 2 Magistone, he said it would lead them to the magic sword. At that moment, however, they sensed Zardias' magic, and as Matthias revealed that he was coming after them, he offered to hold him off while they retrieved his magic sword. As the girls began flying down from the sky, they realized that the Magistone was directing them to the castle's treasury, and thought they would easily find the sword. At the same time, Matthias and Iris were waiting for Zardias' arrival, but as Matthias began to enhance his sword, he revealed that he intended to strike first. Having discovered that Zardias was traveling through space, He thought he could seal the space right before he emerged, but as the people of the city began noticing Iris in the sky, they wondered if she was their enemy. Just then, a dimensional warp began ripping open in the sky, so Matthias jumped to slash it. But as he realized it was useless, he retreated, knowing his only choice was to fight. At that moment, Zardias appeared, but as Matthias told Iris to prepare a dragon breath, he thought the blast would slow him down. So when Zardias tried to attack, Iris unleashed the dragon breath, but as Alma and Lori stopped to watch from a roof, they realized they were running out of time. However, Zardias was unscathed from the attack, and as he began saying that he had been wanting to fight Matthias, he drew his demonic ancient sword. Before Matthias could stop him, Zardias cast a slash towards Iris, but even as Matthias summoned multi-layer barrier defense, it broke through everything. Immediately, Zardias knocked Jiluas towards the ground, and he realized that Zardias was the strongest demon he had ever faced. Meanwhile, Alma and Lori had made it into the castle, but as they began telling the guard that they needed to enter the treasury, he rejected, saying they were not allowed inside without the king's permission. When the girls were determined to enter anyway, he commanded the other guards to arrest them, but as the king arrived, he told him to allow them inside. Having no other choice, the guard decided to open the doors, so the king told the girls to take whatever they needed. Outside, Matthias was overwhelmed with attacks, and as Zardias flashed past him again, he spurted out blood. This injury caused him to lose his magic, but as Iris managed to save him, he realized that his chance of defeating Zardias was near zero. So in a final desperate effort, Matthias realized that he needed to give up his own life, as it was his only hope for surviving. Watch this next video. Till next time, my fellow legendary plot masters.